I'll never forget the first student that I had that lived in a small town. She came to me and said, look, Marissa, I know that you say that I can charge $10,000 per wedding, but I live in such a small town. It just isn't possible for me. I said, all right, my friend, challenge accepted. We went away working together for some time, and it wasn't long before, sure enough, she hit that $10,000. And I've been working with photographers for 9 years now, and I can tell you, this is a common question. It's a common struggle that comes up again and again. And so I want to bring to you the 5 steps to raising your prices in a small town here in this video now. I'm taking all the knowledge and wisdom that I've gained over almost a decade, and I'm crystallizing it, distilling it right here for you. Now, before we begin, you're going to want to be sure to like and subscribe because trust me, you want to be in the know for when the next video drops because it's going to impact your business. That's what we're here to do, to support you in your journey of building the business of your dreams, which is why I'm also going to tell you to click the link in the description. Don't forget to do so because I have a free training for you that is exactly the steps you want to follow to build a thriving business in this industry. Is exactly what I wish I could have gotten my hands on when I first started my career back in 2009. And look, if you are 10 years in your career and you're feeling stuck, this training is going to help you see what's holding you back so that you can finally break free and break through to that thriving business that you so deserve. Now, without further ado, let's go ahead and talk about exactly what we're going to cover. Number 1, how to successfully raise your rates without moving or offering destination coverage. Number 2, identify how to accurately attract and book clients in those new price points. Number 3, the sales process to support raising your rates. Number 4, how to get referrals on repeat. Number 5, what keeps the momentum going regardless of location. So let's start at the top. How are you going to raise your rates without moving or without offering destination coverage? Okay, first and foremost, one topic that comes up oftentimes when I speak to photographers who are wanting to raise rates in a smaller town is the idea that no one in my town will pay this amount. And there's this idea that they know everyone and everyone shares that their budget is this. And a lot of times, our ideal client, the people that we really want to work with within our business, are not necessarily the people that we hang out with or that are in our circle the most. And so if you're speaking to people in your circle and they're saying, oh, I would never pay that much for a wedding, or, oh my gosh, that's so expensive and it's making you feel like you're charging too much. And that might be a reason why you're not bringing in inquiries or booking the weddings. I can tell you that that is a block for so many photographers. So you really want to step away from just listening to people in your circle in terms of pricing. What you really want to do is to take an approach that is unique to your own specific needs. I teach this often with my students. You don't want to base your pricing on really anything else except what is it that you uniquely need to have the lifestyle that you desire. There's so many other factors that I talk to and we work with my students. But right now, I just want you to know, you don't base your pricing just on, what someone in your area is charging. There's so many other factors that come into play here. But for you, with raising your prices, the first thing that you have to overcome is yourself and that feeling like you're charging too much. You have to believe what you are selling is worth the value you put behind it. If not, you're going to struggle to sell. And that is one of the biggest struggles for photographers, is believing that what they say they charge is what their service is actually worth. And so in order to raise your rates, the first step is really a lot of inner work. Yes, you are going to have to do some work we're going to talk about today on the outside of your business, okay, on your website and your sales process. But the most important work you do in terms of raising your prices is right here and right here, okay? That self-permission to say, yes, I give myself permission to raise my prices. I believe that my service is worth this much, and I am passionate about it. When you have that mindset, you are going to sell so much easier. Your clients are going to be compelled by your passion, by your belief in your service. Okay. So that comes first for anyone wanting to raise their prices, but especially in a small town, because now you have this additional layer of a limitation that you see. And you see that it's because of the small town. And so, first and foremost, you've got to say, I am not going to see this as a limitation anymore. And I give myself permission to raise my prices. And I believe firmly in the value that I offer. Okay. And I know that can sound like, that's great, Marissa, but how do I really do it? I'm telling you, the energy behind the strategy is more important than the strategy. If you do the strategy, but you don't believe it, it's not gonna work, okay? So you can't skip number one. You must have the energy behind it. Now, another element to this is you truly become the master. You want to rise to the top of your location. And the only way that you're gonna do that is to become a master at your craft. You really want to be the best artist that you can be. And when you put your focus on the art you're creating and the service that you're producing, your clients are going to have a better experience. The vendors you work with are going to get to know you and trust you. And the art that you create is going to stand out above the rest. So really, in your mind, your first goal is rising to the top of that market, really dominating the market, the local area, not in a sense of competition, but you being your best and knowing that you are the best option for your unique ideal client. Okay, so rising to the top. And then from there, I want to encourage you to look a 2 to 3 hour radius around your current location. A lot of times there are big cities that are pretty close by that wouldn't be too much of a drive for you. There are some small towns where you really do need to drive to a big city, but it's very likely, as I have found working with other photographers, that there's a big city a lot closer than you may realize. And so a lot of photographers, when they're just starting out, they kind of just look right here, right where they are. But if you look at a 2 to 3 hour radius around you, you're going to find that there might be a few cities, maybe not just one, there might be a few cities that you can work with and start to get to know the venues, the vendors, the weddings that are happening in those locations. Become familiar. And I think that's really the first step, because if you're feeling stuck, you don't know what to do, you got to look around you. Okay. This doesn't mean that your destination. This just means that you're servicing your nearest cities. That's exactly how you are going to be able to scale and charge more. Now, I have worked with many photographers who still charge that $10,000 in a small town. I myself currently live in a town that's 1,500 population. Okay. I got to drive 2 hours before I am near a city that will pay the rates that I charge. So I'm in this position to this day. I didn't necessarily start in a big town or a city. It wasn't a small town. It was an average sized town. So I don't feel like I started my career in a small town, but today I'm in a small town and I've worked with a lot of photographers in a small town. And I can tell you there are cities around, and the only way that you will charge the 10K in your city before even going to the big city is to dominate the market. So you must focus on the quality of your service, your networking, your business strategy, and your craft. There are many different elements that come into play in rising to the top, and that would kind of be a whole conversation in itself. But that really is step one in raising rates when you're in a small town. All right, number 2, identify how to accurately attract and book clients in those price points. All right, so let's talk about this one. If you are currently booking clients at price points that are not desirable to you, then you've got to rethink your ideal client, because the clients that you're booking are a reflection of your branding. Your brand is going to speak a story that your ideal client will say, yes, that is me. You get it. And I speak a lot about this in that free training. So definitely click the link in the description. I go in intense detail on how to figure out your own unique brand. But understand that your website and your Instagram, it's the first hello. It's what is going to get them in the door. When you're walking past Louis Vuitton versus Chanel, what makes those two brands feel different? They're both luxury, but why are they different, right? It's a feeling. When you are looking at Louis Vuitton versus Gap, what's the difference? Toyota versus BMW. We can look at brands amongst many different industries and notice that there is a clear distinction of who they are selling to. And a lot of times, most times photographers get stuck because in the beginning, it's a lot of, I'll take anything that comes my way. And what they end up with is a hodgepodge of a portfolio that doesn't speak one clear message to one unique ideal client. So if you really want to build your business the right way the first time, or if you're wondering why you're stuck, this is probably why. There's brand misalignment, which means you're dreaming of this client, but you're showing this type of client, which neither is bad. It's just not actually what you want. So you need to consider those locations in those bigger cities in the 2 to 3 hour mile radius. Look at the weddings that were published at those locations. Look at the planners who are designing and hosting and creating these weddings, designing these weddings for their clients. Look at the fashion, the color palettes. Look at the scenery of these locations. Really ask yourself, what are you drawn to? What are you loving in those cities? What is it that you would love to create more of? If I were you, I would really get crystal clear. I would even take that and put those images on a Pinterest board, and from there make a mood board of 10 to 20 images that fully represents your brand vision. From there, I would go back through your portfolio. I guarantee you there's some gold nuggets in there that maybe you skipped over, and really pull all of your strongest images in one location. You're going to want to develop a skill of image selection and curation. That in itself is one of the most important elements that creates the feeling that is your brand. Let's say that you are really passionate. Let's say you're the bride and you're really passionate about intimate weddings, and you just want to have 15 guests, and you also love water and the coast. You're not sure where yet, but you know that you're going to be on the water, and you're looking for photographers. If you come to a photographer's page that has gorgeous imagery, but it's all big weddings, all ballrooms, and there's not a lot of intimate moments, it's really a lot of editorial imagery, more perfect poses. That client is not going to look at that portfolio and say, I see myself in your work. That's not their vision. So it's not the brand that aligns with their vision. But if your website is all intimate moments, and your copy and your writing, the text on your website is confirming that, and that you're passionate about weddings that happen on the ocean, well, that client is going to say, you see me, you get me. They're going to raise their hand and say, I want what you're offering because you understand me. And so the more that you understand yourself as an artist, the more that you can showcase what you are wanting to create. And that is the only way that your dream clients find you, right? So really getting crystal clear so that what you're putting out represents what you want to attract. And so maybe you need to go shoot at some of those venues in those big cities. Maybe you need to take your camera and, with your next engagement session, go to one of those locations so that you can bring that scenery into your portfolio. Little by little, taking action so that your portfolio represents the story that these brides getting married in those cities, 2 to 3 hour radius, begins to say, this photographer understands my vision. This photographer understands my vision. And so the more that you do so, the more that you will be known in those destinations, the more that you will become more irresistible, the more that you will be seen as the elite choice. All right. So it is a process, but it begins with your clarity, you going back through your images, getting the strongest ones that represent that vision. And then everything you do moving forward is to build a portfolio that represents those locations and those sceneries and fashions and all the things that you are loving. All right. Number 3, the sales process to support you in raising your rates. Now, look, you're not going to have the same process to sell to a client at $2,000 as you would to a client at $10,000. It's just different. It's a different sales psychology. which is one of the things that I am so obsessed with. I love psychology and I love understanding what makes people purchase items versus not. And also understanding different demographics of people and the way that they think and value different elements of an offer. And so as you are wanting to raise your rates, you want to think a little bit more in terms of premium and luxury. All right. When you are going to purchase a Toyota, now look, I love Toyotas. My mama drove a Toyota. They're dependable, reliable. There's nothing wrong with Toyota. I love Toyotas. But when you're out there, it's pretty accessible for most people, right? They're on a car parking lot. There's a sticker on there. The price is available. You can get the information. You can test drive it. There's no big deal, right? But if we think about a Bugatti, now this is, I would say extreme luxury, right? Of course, but it's probably going to be on a showroom floor, right? There's not going to be a whole bunch of them on a parking garage with stickers on them. You can just go look at the prices. It's going to be a very custom, tailored experience. And that's because the buying psychology is different. And it's going to be same for you, all right? I'm going to keep this part short and sweet. If you are doing packages and sending a menu of options in your first email, you are more likely to be marketing to a lower budget client. If you are instead sharing your entry level offering rate and then having a call, creating a custom proposal specific to their needs for each potential client every time, well, now you're going to be selling a little bit more of that luxury mindset, right? You're going to be able to close the deal. And that's the sales process that you want to use. Now, I do go in depth in the wedding photography masterclass. And again, maybe I'll teach here a training on that, but it really is that important. High-end clientele from all my years, I can tell you, they value experience above all else. It comes first. And so when you are looking at the sales process, their determination of working with you begins on their experience from the moment they hit submit on that inquiry. You want to have quick responses. You want to really work with them because they are going to have unique desires, a unique vision that isn't just like everyone else's. And if you really want to close the deal and raise your rates, creating a custom proposal is going to help you stand out from the crowd because everyone else is most likely not doing custom proposals. Most photographers I work with, when they first come into our program, they are doing collections or packages, something that's predetermined. And we have found so much more success with raising rates with custom offerings. Number 4, how to get referrals on repeat. All right, you guys, the best type of referrals are client referrals. They are the strongest referrals, and those only come with time. But if you're currently booking clients at lower rates than what you'd like to book, it's going to take some time to get referrals from clients that are indeed at the higher price points. Usually you will find client referrals have a similar budget to the client that referred them. Therefore, networking and building relationships in the right circles is going to be paramount for you in terms of raising your prices when in a small town. You want to find your people and you want to build a circle around you of vendors who love working with you, they trust you, and they are crazy about sending clients your way. The only way that that's going to happen is if you are actually really good at the service you provide. So again, we're going back all the way to number 1, right? Pursue becoming the master. That is the path that you want to take above all else. Trust me, you ensuring that your artistry is one of the best, your service is one of the best, that's what's going to get referrals coming back to you. And sadly, but also thankfully, it takes time. It's something that takes patience. You might not want to wait all that time to build those relationships and to build that trust and to show people that you are what you say you are. But in time, those referrals can come again and again and again on repeat, so much so that it is all that you do in terms of marketing. People like to think about marketing in this industry, especially with weddings. Networking is the new marketing. Okay. So look at the planners who are designing these weddings that you're loving in those locations. Pay attention to them, get to know them, invest in building relationships with people that you can serve clients with. And if you're loving a wedding that a planner has designed, it wouldn't hurt to reach out, to connect, and to begin building a relationship. And hey, that is a whole video all in itself, for sure. Number 5, how to keep the momentum going even when you're in a small town. Well, let me tell you, consistency and dedication. Look, there is not a shortcut to your success. You have to put in the time, you have to stay committed, and you have to continue this journey for years in order to really see the full potential of your business. If you're in a small town, you're gonna hit some bumps in the road. You're gonna have some things that come up for you that make you question what we've talked about today. You're going to have tests. And the only way that you're going to pass those tests and get to those higher rates that you dream of is through consistently showing up through the ways we've talked about today and being dedicated to your craft, your clients, and the service you provide. And following these 5 steps, you're going to see that you are going to raise your prices in your small town faster than you ever imagined. Any photographer out there that you look at, that you look up to, myself included, it did not happen overnight. There were years of trial and error. There were years that it didn't seem like maybe it would be successful. And there were years of wild success beyond my imagination. But I think what you have to know is, regardless of where you are, your small town is not going to hold you back. What's going to hold you back more than anything is you believing that there are limitations. You believing that your work really isn't worth that $10,000. It's you getting behind that story and fully, boldly supporting it in every single way that you show up. All right? Because you're a small town, believe me, there's so much more potential right around the corner than you even realize. I've seen it time and time again, and your success is 100% possible. But you are the most important ingredient to this recipe, okay? So get out there, activate everything that we talked about today. Let me know in the comments if you have any follow-up questions to what we talked about, maybe about your unique position. I'd love to support you in this journey. That's exactly why I'm here and why I make these videos in the first place, is for you. So let me know your thoughts. And if you enjoyed this and brought value to your life and your business, be sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you on the next one.